Thank
Doctor
you.
is
Thank you, sir.
Professor of Psychiatry in All India Institute at Patna, and he is the chair of specialty section of college mental health in our national body of Indian Psychiatric Society. He has the responsibility to understand, investigate, and frame policy for college mental health to understand students' problem, teachers' problem, and take it to the national body that what best can be done. So let us hear from him on a complex topic like college mental health, what Dr. Pankaj Kumar has to say. Most welcome, Doctor.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And good afternoon, everybody. Respected teachers, students, educators, mentors, and my fellow colleagues from the field of medicine and psychiatry. So, as already Dr. Amresh sir has given my kind introduction. So, first, since sir has told me to talk about the college mental health specialty, because my topic has been given as a role of nutrition, exercise, and physical activity. So I was focused on that. But before starting my presentation on that topic, I'd be in brief talking about what college mental health specialty section is trying to work towards. So it must have been described in detail in the beginning. I joined a bit late. I don't know exactly what was the discussion going on, but we all, as a teacher, as mentors, as a as a parents, we all are concerned about our youth section of the society uh, because they are the most strong dividend of our country. We call it demographic dividend. So when we talk about demographic dividend, that means these youths can be a major torch bearer and flag bearer for taking our country, our world, our society to the further progress in the coming years and take it further higher into the development. But we are equally concerned about the current scenario in which the kind of uh, social structure, academic environment, college curriculum, the systemic structures among the college, all these things are leading to some kind of inherent vulnerabilities which these youths our youths are facing. And these vulnerabilities are also in sync with the mental or psychological vulnerability, which is also very developmentally appropriate state, which we can talk in detail later on, because at this moment, the person is taking up some memory and experience of childhood. At the same time, he's exploring his own identity, his own autonomy, his own experience and view about the world and the self. So we call it. So those two intersection creates a lots of mental stress. And that is causing a huge amount of mental health issues and morbidity in such college or youth population. So everybody, every stakeholder of the society and the country are concerned about it, and we are regularly talking about this important issue, how to tackle it systemically. So in that pursuit, college mental health section of Indian Psychiatric Society is also coming out with lots of policy documents and how these documents can be used at the various level of institution or regulatory bodies like UGC or National Medical Commission. All these things, we are providing our technical input and expertise to how to establish a systemic response to this condition so that we can better tackle the youth and take the youth out of our current situation of mental health crisis or epidemic of mental health issues and poor well-being. So that is how the college mental health section is working too. So if I'm permitted, sir, can I go ahead with my presentation,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
please
focused
go
on?
ahead to
Okay.
with the
So,
physical health.
hmm, yeah. So I would start with my slide sharing. Is my slides visible, sir?
Yes,
I'm just okay. It's coming full screen now.
yes, yes, that's okay.
Okay. I am audible also?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So now coming to the topic on which we are going to, I am supposed to talk about is exercise, nutrition, and sport. Their contributions for the youth, mental health, and well-being. So this is one of the very important component when we are talking at a whole, as a whole of increasing. And this particular section and exercise, nutrition, and support will try to mainly focus on the its important value and how it can help as a preventive steps, we can say, into the science of medical language. We call it preventive, curative, and rehabilitative. So preventive first step measures which can build a very good background, a very good support foundations, so that the youth's mental health and well-being based on this foundation can be taken to a more better and better level. So, so why focus on this? As we talked about in the beginning, and this is the small data which I'd like to say, about 75% of mental health conditions, whatever it begins into the late adolescent or early adulthood. So that's a period when person's mental health vulnerability, if it is not well tackled before the advancement of that vulnerability leading to mental health issues, then the person is going to suffer the effect lifelong. So that's a one important information to be understood. And as I talked in the beginning, adolescent is a period of huge process of multiple levels of rapid process of neurological development, psychological development, development of various, someone was talking about the emotional EQ. So all these are the different kind of components of mental health and well-being, which are very strongly challenged, strongly exposed, and how the person deals with these things is very important to grow into a mentally healthy and well-being status. And the lifestyle factor is the most important factor which strongly influence the individual components of mental health. We talk in terms of mood, cognitions, individual resilience, individual coping skills to a straight, problem solving skills. So all these are the important components of mental health well-being, which strongly influence the youth mental health and well-being. So that's why we need to focus on this particular aspects. This is again a data of World Federation of Public Health Association 25 data. 1 in 7 young people are experiencing a mental health condition, and 85 to 90% of these populations are from third world countries or low or middle income countries, you can say, and they contribute to 13% of the global disease burden. So among the disease burden, if you talk in terms of the cumulative, so mental health issues related disease burden into the adolescent population is very high. So that's important. And after COVID-19, 19, we also know how the lifestyle and how our journey of the life and our perceptions of the various aspects of the ourself, the society, the interaction of the self environment and society has significantly transformed, which is again leading to a clear exponential increase into the mental health morbidity aspect. Now, since we have teachers and students, just to speak a bit about how do we understand what is mental health. So we don't go into the disease aspects. We are talking about, I'd like to talk about the health aspect. So mental health is primarily a state of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it is about the well-being in the various dimensions, especially emotional, psychological, and social. In simple terms, not going into the technical scientific term, you can say how a person think, how a person feel, how a person behave into the various situations. So those aspects determines whether I am mentally healthy or not. So it determines how we handle stress, how we connect to the people, how we accept our self-image, our self-concept, and how we make the healthy choices when it comes to dealing with the problems, dealing with the stressful situation, dealing with the relationship issues. So these are the different determinants which determines how much mentally healthy I am and we are. So now talking about the dimension, those I talked about the domains. The dimensions mainly what are the reserves required in a youth which can build upon a person's youth's mental health and well-being. So predominantly, we talk about the four important resources. One is emotional resource. That means a person's, as I talked about, the mood regulation, the emotional intelligence, which just my fellow, some of the colleagues talked about, which can be talked in detail later on, the coping style. Cognitive results means my higher mental functionings of the pattern of thinking, pattern of learning, the knowledge, the language, the communication skills, the cognitive flexibility, the innovativeness and creativity. Social skills is about how we relate to others, how we communicate, cooperate, and accept, and how we handle the relationship issue. And fourth is most important dimensions is what is the meaning and purpose we create in this particular most vulnerable phase of our life cycle in the youth phase. So what is the meaning and purpose of life we have decided? So all these are important dimensions of a mental health and well-being. Now coming to well-being, we commonly mix these two terms. But the health, when we talk about health, it is a cross-sectional. Right now, what is my state? Whether I am having any kind of disease state or not. So that decides my health status at this moment of time. But when we talk about the wellness aspect, that means how continuously an individual is evolving in the various dimensions of their physical, mental, social, spiritual, and lots other things are being added every day into these dimensions of well-being. So that is a person's individual choices. The person makes a choice to take a positive steps, to take a more healthy steps, to take a more adaptive kind of life skills and lifestyles. Choose to take their mental health and wellness to higher and higher level. So that wellness is a continuous process which we keep on and aspiring to going higher and higher into our well-being state so that we can meaningfully contribute to self, to the society, to the community in a productive way. So this is the two important. That's why well-being is a very important because it has lots of dimensions. So that is important aspects to understand. So how wellness helps us maintain mental and physical fitness when we talk about the nutrition exercise in that context and having enough energy to meet our day-to-day needs of the life in a healthy way. That's an important aspect, in a healthy and adaptive way. So that is the important concept. So we have talked about why it is important to talk about and take care of mental health aspects for the student, as we know, because this is a phase where they are struggling with the physical growth, they are struggling with the psychological development, they are also struggling with the larger growth of the various domains of their social career, occupational, and other things. So lots of pressures they are handling. So these kind of things will help our talking about and creating a mental health and wellness system for such students will improve their academic performance, improve their mental well-being, not only physical health, but social connectedness, and will reduce the level of stress. Stress is inevitable, but how we handle and how we tackle this stress without letting it go to the level of mental health concern. So that is the important why we need to talk about this. Now coming to these three pillars of exercise, nutrition, and support, which I am supposed to talk about. Why? So as I have talked in the beginning, that these three pillars together is the basic pillar because it is a preventive, it is a foundation thing which can together build emotional, cognitive, and social wellness in our youths and college students. That's why these three are important. How it is important? When coming to the exercise, in general terms, we'll see into the various articles or newspapers that exercise is considered a very natural way of antidepressant effect, a natural way of enhancing your brain capacity to think, to problem solve, to plan, to execute, to take decision. So that is very, very important natural effect. That's why it is considered regular physical activity is one of the strongest non-pharmacological promoters of mental health and well-being. How it does about works is that, as I said, the natural antidepressant enhances cognition. And what type of exercises are important? I'll talk in detail a bit about the biological also aspects, giving in very superficial way to let you understand that whenever we are into exercise, the exercise releases lots of chemicals inside our body, specifically into our brain, in our synapses between the two neurons and their species. So lots of these neurochemicals are released, and those neurochemicals bring about various changes into our mental health state. Particularly endorphins and dopamine, they improve mood and reward sensitivity. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is a very, very important, which, as I said, the brain is in the rapid flux of growth, making new connections, pruning the old connections. So all this requires a very rapid activity of formation of synapses. So that requires brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which increases
1 second, doctor.
plasticity.
Can everybody
In
close the
consequence,
mic,
it
please?
increases learning and memory. Hello, sir. Yeah.
अपने माइक म्यूट कर लीजिए प्लीज, आवाजें आ रही हैं. थैंक यू वेरी मच. गो अहेड
Okay.
डॉक्टर.
Similarly, whenever we are into a exercise mode, it decreases the body cortisol. Cortisol is a very important hormone which is very, very highly increased
दालापति
whenever
गुगलू जी
we are
अपना
into
माइक
the
बंद कर लीजिए.
stress. So cortisol is decreased, so it reduces stress level as well as reactivity to the stressful stimuli, and it regulates sleep. So sleep regulation has a very, very enormous restorative effect on emotional processing and impulse control. because impulse is very, very high in this youthful stage. So the good amount of sleep is very, very essential, and it has a huge restorative effect on impulse control, emotional regulation. So these are the neurobiological benefits and the methods of how it brings about the benefit. In turns, what are the psychological benefits? The person has a better self-concept, better self-esteem, confidence, self-efficacy is enhanced by giving a sense of mastery, reduces anxiety symptoms by decreasing the stress reactivity, and improves attention and executive functioning, which is very, very critical for good or higher academic performance for the youths. And now coming to what kind of exercises are most useful for the youth. Any kind of exercise can be. But if we talk about the in terms of more beneficial effects on the part of mental wellness, then aerobic exercises are very, very important and most effective, which includes all kind of aerobic exercise, running, swimming, cycling, and they have the best evidence for improving the mood. That is the important aspects of mind-body activities, which includes yoga, martial arts, meditations of mindfulness. They are very, very helpful for regulating the emotions, because emotional regulation and impulse control is a very two important aspects, which is quite naturally bound to be high during this youthful phase. But these mind body activities can help control and effectively control the emotions, emotional arousal, as well as high rate of impulsivity. Similarly, strength training kind of body image, because body image concern is very, very high among the youth, especially among the female youth. So such kind of strength training exercises also enhances the positive body image about the self. So these are the important exercise types. Now coming briefly about the nutrition, how nutrition is important as a preventive part of mental health and wellness. So nutrition is basically a fuel, and fuel in terms of mental health and wellness, it fuels our emotional regulation. It is very essential for our brain development, because I have repeatedly talked, there is rapid brain maturation, which is going on and which shapes both the structure and functions of the central nervous system, especially the brain. So that is important of the nutrition. Now, what are the different important nutrients? Though there are n number of things, but broadly I can say, so these four things are important. One by one, omega-3 fatty acids in a old population, it's very common to use to enhance their vitality, their energy, their cognition, their memory. But in a young adolescent, it is very, very important, because it is very, very critical for brain development aspects of synaptic functioning. Synapses means the connection between the two nerves inside the brain, and how those connections are happening rapidly and effectively. So that is important. And omega-3 fatty acids is a unsaturated fat, which is very, very important and is associated with lower levels of depression and better attention and cognition. So that is for omega-3 fatty acid. Complex carbohydrates. Again, this is very important in the context of junk food culture, which is right now so much prevalent and worrisome, though for the whole population, but the youth population, it is very, very important, not only for mental and health and well-being, but also for physical health aspect. So when we say ki complex carbohydrate, it is the non-processed carbohydrates, which is naturally found in our whole grains, millets, oats. Because you must know one thing, though the doctors know, but for the other general teachers and students, that brain takes only glucose for their metabolism. They utilizes only glucose. And glucose, the more it will be simple, the more it will be metabolize very fastly, the more helpful it will be for the brain functioning and brain metabolism. So complex carbohydrate helps stabilize mood and concentration. Micronutrients again for the brain myelin sheath formation, for synaptic functioning, for good neurotransmissions, because they are important components of the various aspects of the cycle of the formations of the various components of the central nervous system. So particularly the iron, which prevents fatigue and cognitive dulling. Vitamin D, this is the very epidemic of vitamin D is happening in our continent, and youths are more, though they are supposed to be very active physical outdoor games, should have a good amount of vitamin D, but it is very less in general population, and that is very highly related with the mood regulation and mood disorders. Irritability, it increases, impulsivity, it increases. Vitamin B12 is another important which support neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter, as I talked briefly in the beginning, between the two neurons, their communications happens through the transport through the neurochemicals, various chemicals. And that chemicals generates electrical activity, and that's how transmission information is transmitted from one neuron to another neuron. So it's an electrochemical process. So vitamin B12 is very essential. And proteins, because all kind of building blocks, basic building blocks are amino acids, whatever we neurotransmitter, neurochemical I am talking about, and that are basically produced by our good protein intake. So adequate amount of protein intake is necessary to produce serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These three are important neurotransmitters, which is particularly issues associated with mood, anxiety, and other kind of even the serious, severe mental illnesses also. So all these three important nutrient combination is very important for the good amount of neurological formation, their maturation in the brain at the stage of youth. So that's why it is important. Now, there are strong evidence that Mediterranean diets, which are high in vegetable, fruit, legume, nuts, whole grains, olive oil, have very strong evidence for reducing depression in adolescents. As I talked earlier, low processed sugar intake, low processed sugar intakes, that means not the junk food, because junk food are highly processed sugar. So low processed sugar intake prevents energy crashes, mood control, irritability, decreases inflammation linked to mood dysregulation. So we can understand it better now. Now, what kind of habits of nutrition should be encouraged? The type of nutrition and habit. And under the habit, the regular breakfast, which is very important to improve our attention and memory. Hydration is very important. Right now, the kind of beverages and drinks which is available into the market, and our youths are so much addicted to those things which are quite stimulating, quite derailing, which I am talking about. But proper hydration is very important. That means the water intake and hydration of the body is important. Even mild dehydration affects our various aspects of mental functioning, particularly the emotional regulation and mood regulation. Caffeine and energy drinks, as I was talking about, if we limit this, that all kind of beverage, it will help reduce anxiety and insomnia, because they are stimulants. They are having a stimulants effect on the brain. So, and a youth brain is already into a higher state of activities, higher state of functioning. So that increases the anxiety and insomnia. So nutritional habit is another very important aspect we must take care about. Coming to third is important is sports. How physical exercise and sports, these two are different. I'll try to talk about because sports is a complex combined activities in a team, in a group. So that has a different effect on the particularly social aspects of well-being, the emotional cognition, emotional intelligence, the problem-solving aspects. All these are important. Social identity, belongingness, and resilience. So sports basically combines exercise. It enhances social bonding and increase the learning, making them uniquely powerful in different dimensions. So that is another very important aspect of sports. So that is a physical activity combined with sports can have a immense effect on the all the dimensions of the uh, mental health and well-being. Social and emotional advantage of the sports activity, it inculcates the sense of belonging as a teamwork. You are being part, recognized by your colleagues, by your peer groups. You feel part of that, which is very important developmental need of the youth. So sense of belongingness increases the self-identity, enhances the self-concept and esteem. And that becomes a protective factor against depression. It develops teamwork, empathy, and communication skills of the individual. It teaches discipline, routine, and delayed gratification. All these are quite very vulnerability in a youth. Indiscipline, lack of routine, immediate gratification, sensation seeking, experimenting. All these are natural developmental youth psychological domains. So all these sports can teach handle to all these things by inculcating discipline, routine, and delayed gratification. It also helps build resilience through learning to cope with failure, which is a very important, particularly in all higher academic institutions. The maintaining achievements is a very constant pressure, and failure is cannot be acceptable. So that's a pressure which is from outside to the students also, and the pressures from inside by the student on themselves also, that they need to continue high performance. But all these sports helps them learn to cope with failure, loss, and competition. So this is another important identity development. As I talked into at the outset, this is the phase where a person is looking and trying to make their own identity independent. They are now want to become a autonomous individual with an independent identity, and sports help them a good amount of body confidence, competence identity. That means I can do hard things, I am capable of doing complex things. Healthy peer networks developed through the sports can be supportive of positive behavior rather than peer groups which are indulged into the non-healthy kind of behaviors. These sports peer group help persons support the positive, healthy, or adaptive behavior. So an academic and behavior impact, it leads to better concentration and better engagement and connectedness with the school and their community of the school and their peers. And it decreases the risk of substance abuse, improve impulse control and emotional management. So almost all aspects of cognitive, emotional, social skills, all the dimensions of the mental health and wellness are having good impact by combination of physical exercise and sports. Now coming to how these three important pillars intersect and reinforce each other. So exercise enforce nutrition, sports enforce nutrition, and sports and exercise enforce each other. And all three enforce. So how they interact and what is the impact? This is important aspect too.
Really
understand,
nice.
because proper nutrition enhances energy and recovery. Sports require energy and nutrition, and nutrition in education improves a good sports activity and habit. Structure sports increases lifelong physical activity and good habit of continuing good amount of physical exercise. And all three combined together improve sleep, reduces stress, enhance self-regulation and resilience. So all these are good interaction which leads to better adherence to physical activity,
Baby, मैं बना
stability
रहा
of
हूँ चाय.
mood,
तेरी
reduces
बनानी?
physical morbidity
मैं
of
ला रहा
obesity,
हूँ
better
छोले भटूरे.
performance,
खागा?
higher
खाऊगा?
self-esteem, long-term
ला दो?
protection against
फिर
anxiety and
चाय अपने अपने
depression,
बना लूँ?
and most important, it
पहले तेरे
builds
फिर
up
बना
a
दूँगा.
strong
हाँ?
foundation for the continuing higher level of mental health and well-being.
बहुत बदतमीजी है मेरे साथ तो ये.
Particularly in adolescents,
मेरा
they
चाय
are
का जी
more
कर रहा.
vulnerable to body image concerns. So the focus in those age groups should be on strength and health, not weight, because this is a common stigma which is found and perceived by the people who are either too obese or too thin. And that is very, very important
Very difficult
creates
is what
body
for
image
me.
concern. Overstraining can cause burnout and depression. So youth need rest stage also, not only in terms of the academic curriculum, the examination curriculum, but also in terms of the curriculum of various activities, extracurricular. Nutritional deficiency must be screened in fatigued or irritable students. Sports should be inclusive. Whatever activities, we try to make it more accessible and taking into the principle of inclusivity. What I mean by inclusivity, the girls, neurodiverse youth means the person with various level of physical strength or ability due to their underlying neuro developmental issues like autistic child, learning difficulty child, or any kind of IDD child. IDD means intellectually disabled child. LGBTQ is now the new thing, which is also very commonly coming up into the purview of discussions and deliberation, and those with physical disability. So all these people should be inclusive whenever we are trying to plan any kind of mental health promotive activity and preventive activities, specifically when we are talking about sports, physical exercise, and nutritional related activity. So practical recommendation at the end, which are small tips for parents: encourage their children for at least 60 minutes of moderate vigorous physical activity daily. Provide and encourage them to inculcate the value of healthy nutrition, healthy dietary habits, which should include nuts, fruits, yogurts, eggs,
चाय बेबी
and
खा ले
model
बेटा तू
active
बैठ.
lifestyle.
मतलब
So
देखो
the
इसके कुछ
parents
बनी
should
नहीं चावल
model
की.
their by their own lifestyle so that the children can understand the value of active and healthy lifestyle. For schools and college athletes and teachers, incorporate movement breaks and daily physical activity, provide access to team sports and recreational leagues. These kind of curriculums should be highly, highly encouraged and should be part of the frequent activities, and teach nutrition therapy as a part of the curriculum. For clinician, use exercise as a first line adjunct in any kind of depressive or anxiety symptoms in the youth population. Assess intake patterns in the youth because of the body image issues and the mood regulation issues. Eating disorder is a very important concern in youth population. So every clinician, they encounter any youth population with some kind of mental health issue, must inquire about the eating patterns to rule out any kind of pathological eating disorder, and must psychoeducate all clinicians, the families of the youth about the psychological risk of overdoing in terms of either be it physical exercise, physical activity, sports, or any other component of the activity. So to conclude briefly on this importance of the nutrition, physical activity and exercise, I would like to say that these three are important tripod of the mental well-being for youth because exercise energizes the brain, nutrition nourishes it, and sports give it a community means sports give it all kind of necessary increase in the reserve of the cognitive reserve, emotional reserve, the social skills reserve, so that they are going into a better state of mental health and well-being. And we should, as a society, at every level, at the family level, at the school level, college level, all level, prioritize these three pillars to create a healthier, happier, more confident young people who are capable of navigating the pressure of modern life. So with this brief, very simplistic overview, I have tried by keeping in mind the audience, but I am ready for any kind of question. So these are the tips based on the all this topic about the regular exercise, meditation, time management, good sleeping. All these are important tips for self-care. So at the end, I'd like to say the best investment in youth mental health is simple. Move more, eat well, and play often. So thank you very much once again for a patient listening. Thank you. So with that, I am stopping my slides here.
Well,
Yes, sir.
thank you, doctor, and it has been very exciting. Actually, I'm going to invite participants to discuss, but before I do that, I thought I would tell you that there were three important aspects why I gave this topic
Yeah.
in today's symposium.
Yes, sir.
The first was the issue of exercise and nutrition in dealing with mood problems of mood regulation.
Mood.
The second that you were touching upon is the prevalence of eating disorder, which is increasing gradually, and people are not aware about it. As doctors, we have to take every opportunity to talk to people about this problem. And
Yes.
third is a new epidemic that is childhood obesity.
Yes.
And the fourth, of course, the quality of nutrition, the tradition in the family, the discipline in the family is needs to be regulated. The discipline and the discourse needs to come back to monitor what the children are eating, how they are eating, what is being cooked, how it is being cooked, is it healthy or not healthy, do they eat or they don't eat, remain fasting for number. I don't think many children I know, they don't go to school with a after a breakfast. Breakfast doesn't mean that you have a table laid with the breakfast, but you should not go without eating. So I think if you can touch upon these important aspects, and then I will move on to audience response.
Yeah.
Sir, if I allowed, I can add to what just Dr. Srivastav sir has said.
Yes,
Uh,
please, please.
Sir, there are two level of challenges. One, very rightly you highlighted that a substantial number of students come to school and higher education institutions without having breakfast. The another challenge of the upper state of the society, the children are not eating the traditional foods. They are more into the quick foods, no, whether
Junk.
it's a pizza or
No,
burger
that
or
is junk food, not quick food. Let's
yes,
Yeah.
be straight.
yes, and diet like Coke and many other energy drinks which are available in the market. So if Dr. Pankaj ji can
Hmm.
accommodate both the aspects, that would be
Yes.
great.
Sure, sure.
So, Dr. Pankaj, you asked him, what should be eaten by children?
Hmm.
How the habits needs to be changed, and the families must take responsibility of proper healthy nutrition and the
Yeah.
points that I raised. Yes.
Okay. So as I said, nutrition is the very important building block because of the various physiological and psychological developments in the youth population, not only from the mental wellness perspective, but also from the physical health perspective. So nutrition highlights two aspects when we talk about nutrition. One is the quality, what is being taken, and another is the habit of nutrition. So when I talk about the quality, it must include the qualities of having good amount of vitamins, good amounts of mineral, good amounts of antioxidant, very decreasing the amount of the complex or processed sugars which is available in all the junk foods and all the kind of aerated or energy drinks. So all these are very detrimental. So quality of nutrition is something which the society, particularly youth, needs to know. But how they will know? There are two ways. One is at the family. At the family, the family itself has to be showing the modeling of the nutritional health aspects by how they are doing their nutritional care at their home, and how the nutritional habits, eating habits in terms of having breakfast, not having long fasting, not having very high amount of eating in a very 1 or 2 meals of very high calorie intake. That is not a good way. Always carrying something with them which can help reduce the frequency in terms of the almonds, in terms of the dry fruits, in terms of various other alternatives, rather consuming chips and pizzas and burgers in the canteen. So that is the about the nutritional habit. So far as the role of family, I'll go beyond the family also to the college. Whenever, because college also has the facility of canteen and so other things. So while they are making or they are creating a canteen process, what are the foods they would like to be served there, how the quality of foods, and what kind of nutritional values, what kind of foods cannot be provided or should not be sold, though we cannot completely ban, but at least we can have the menus which can have options for better options for more healthier rather than choosing the non-healthy options. So that can also be a good way. And also constant awareness and talks about nutrition and its value for physical and mental health. That should also be an important part of education at the college level. As sir was asking about mood disorder and eating disorder. As I said, mood disorders, all kind of disorders, but especially the mood disorders are very important concern. And mood disorders are primarily in this youth population are due to the factors associated with not having the enough amount of neurodevelopmental or neuroplasticity between the cognitive and the emotional circuit, which we know frontal limbic circuit we call, because moods and emotions are always at a high speed in youth population. So how the cognitive domains are able to better control those moods and emotions are important. And as I talking about neuroplasticity, synaptic functioning, neurotransmitter, so serotonin is a very important aspects of that, and norepinephrine and dopamine. So all these three nutritions are, whenever we'll have balanced and healthy nutrition, our these three neurochemicals will be available abundantly. So that will help prevent the emergence of mood disorders. So that is an important aspect. Eating disorder is very important nowadays gradually. Earlier it was only a Western culture phenomena, but in Indian and other low-income countries also, because of various kind of exposure We know the digital social media exposure and the body image concern and sensitivity related to body image and body shaming kind of cultures and everything which is coming up. So body image is an inherent concern in the youth population. And whenever there is that concerns are manifested or magnified by all these external environmental influences, these persons goes into such kind of mood state secondary to their negative perception of the self body image and the eating habits and eating disorders which we talk about binge eating or anorexia nervosa in both kind of extreme. In one person start overeating and frequently impulsive kind of compulsive eating and then later on getting guilt and purging vomiting self induced vomiting and anorexia people not at all taking any energy due to the fear of gaining even a weight in spite of they are underweight. So these are the important aspects we should always try to cover. So whenever we are talking about the nutritional habit, we must inquire about this nutritional habit. Not only the quality, but the habit is important. And obesity in this age, in this population, by their nutritional habit and nutritional quality, invites the host of medical, physical, as well as psychological conditions and disorders, make them highly vulnerable. So obesity is very another important. Obesity epidemic in our youth population has to have taken in a very mission mode by making the society, the youth, the aware about this nutritional value of the nutritional quality, nutritional habits. And the college and the universities also has to take a leadership role in spreading this value of nutrition in the youth population. So that's what I'd like to say on this particular aspect, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. Actually, nutrition is very important because it is involved in growth of body as well as growth of mind. So one way it contributes to brain development, but other side it contributes to development of mind. So if you have a good food which body requires, you feel a sense of happiness and satiety. If you eat something which your body does not require, you are not satisfied and you are more heavy. The topic of obesity is so important that you will remember that Honorable Prime Minister talked about it. And it is one of the agenda on the government work. And I'm happy that some kind of movement will start because let's not forget the age of onset of high cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, atherosclerosis, obesity, these metabolic problems, they are part of the same syndrome. And they are directly related to what you eat. Now, if you see that about 10 years back, every decade, the age of onset of these problems are declining. If mean age of getting a heart attack was 60 about 20 years back, mean age of getting a heart attack has become 45 now. And it is going to decrease day by day the way the kind of sedentary life, bad nutrition, more junk food, no discipline, lack of self-care, lack of sleep, and tremendous amount of stress. So if we bother about mental well-being, this is most important component. It is one component which relates mind-body relationship. It controls the mood regulation. You eat healthy, your sleep is better. You eat healthy, your cognition is, you think rationally, and there is a lot of research data to show, which has been done not only by mental health professionals, but by cardiologists, diabetologists, pediatricians,
Yeah.
that obesity is at epidemiological problem at this point of time. I think we have said enough. It's time to open it for discussion, and we'll appreciate and invite any question, concern, curiosity which my fellow colleagues who have joined have. And Dr. Pankaj would like to address that. Please come forward with your questions. Any question in Hindi or English, जैसा भी आप चाहें. मेरा ख्याल है ये घर घर की समस्या है, जनमानस की समस्या है, और सभी को इसके बारे में सच्चाई जानना चाहिए. No questions?
There is one question in the chat box, sir. Miss
Yes.
Bhumi Chauhan is asking, though there are sometimes some of the people who are mentally strong enough due to some regions eat excess food, whether it be healthy or junk. What about that? Yes, now the question is mentally strong, how it has been decided, that's a one aspect. But it is not synonymous that mental strongness or good mental health means a person will have a very good nutritional or dietary habits. So dietary habits is something which is also very much influenced by our culture, by our traditions, by our social, environmental, the availability and the culture. So everything is important. But we are talking about the youth stage. So in youth stage, this is the stage when we can inculcate the value of good nutrition, the value of disciplined nutritional habit. As sir has talked about, so be it till currently, though he might be mentally strong as per your subjective and other perception, but if he continues to into this such kind of bad nutritional habits, they are going to now trapped into later on all host of physical diseases of metabolic syndrome, which Dr. Amresh sir described, and those metabolic syndromes again will lead to then later on all kind of issues related to health of the mind, particularly in terms of depressions, in terms of anxiety, which is well known in metabolic syndromes, very high. So not directly correlated, but yes, these two are very related concepts. And in youth, it is important to understand. And also, I'd like to add what Tara was trying to say, not only obesity through by the habits, we also talk about nowadays lots of gut-brain axis. We talk about gut-brain axis. And it is a common saying also, which is not scientifically wrong, that our gut is our second brain. Because gut neurological structure, the neurochemicals, all these things are highly abundant as equivalent to the brain. And gut and brain are extensively communicating with each other by their neuronal connections and connectivity. So all these kind of junk foods and unhealthy nutritional leads to changes into the gut walls and leaky gut walls, and that leads to lots of inflammatory cascade, and which ultimately affects the brain also. And it can lead to not only the mental health issues of depression, anxiety or other, but it can lead to a host of other neurological brain conditions also. So that is the importance of the nutritional health. Not only for cardiac heart attack, for a stroke also age is coming earlier, for everything related to complications of metabolic syndrome. So everything, the age of onset is coming earlier in late 30s. even to the early 30s. But late 30s, early 40s is quite commonly now being seen for the stroke and the heart attack.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj. You see, sometimes we overstate the problem. We do have a duty to talk about prevention of problems occurring because of nutrition deficiency or eating habits or not looking after the culture of a good culture of eating habits. So, do you have comments about prevention of the problem, which our audience can take back?
I just shared our daily nutrition, whenever we are talking about or planning about our own nutrition or diet, we must keep the few things in mind. And all these are important messages about the effect. What should be the quality, what should be the quantity, and what should be the habit. So these three are the important aspects. So quality of the nutrition value of the foods we are choosing to take is important. And as I take, the quality should be at least a balanced diet approach, which is called, and which should include the complex carbohydrates, the protein, less of fat, more of antioxidants, legumes, nuts, and whole cereals. So all these are important aspects. And vitamin D, iron deficiency, which are quite common aspects. So we should be, as we go for talk about various other aspects of screening and other things, there should be provisions for regular screening for the nutritional deficiencies, even into the youth populations also. It can be done at the college level, it can be done at the public health service models, at the community PSC levels or whatever level. So a screening for the nutritional deficiency state. Similarly, screening and early detection of the obesity and related metabolic syndrome state as a health policy and the program. That is another important aspect which I can think about. And third is that the mass level of awareness and mass level of I can say the advertisement and mass media advertisement about various kind of unhealthy foods, which is quite catchy and quite attractive. I think in those aspects, marketing aspects, also government can take necessary preventive and precautionary steps. So these are the important things. So three levels: family level, college level, health policy level, programmatic level, and awareness level. So all these 4, 5 levels of preventive activity I can think of for youth population, sir.
I think the role of family has become very complex because of market forces. The market
Yes.
forces are so strong that families find it very difficult to tell children not to eat what they should not eat.
Yeah.
I don't think there will be a time that governments will take any appropriate action
ये सब सब्जियां
in
वगैरह भी गरम
interest
कर देना
of.
बेटा
Can you please keep your mic mute so that we can conduct the session? Thank you. So it all boils down then the responsibility of parents and the college. So this is a new set of responsibility. They already have responsibility of providing education, tuition, and so on and so forth. But looking after the physical health, not forgetting the family traditions, keeping healthy traditions, time to eat, time to sleep, not to force the children to do or negotiate their behavioral tendencies with the kind of food that they want. So these are the common challenges with parents must design their own way of dealing with. Are there? Is there any question from the audience? Please come forward.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, go
Myself,
ahead.
Ankush Jana Fatima.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Just now
Can you
you
introduce
said
yourself? You are a college student or you are a teacher or you are...
I am a college student, final year BEMS student, sir.
Okay.
I am a future doctor and
Sure, sir.
I am searching about the mental health and gut health also.
Mhm.
As you said just now, gut health and brain health is connected with each other.
Hmm.
As per that topic, I want to share some things about my research and something I get knowledge from my professors.
Yeah.
As per some research and some religious aspects, it's good for digestive system that all should take food as a breakfast in morning as a king, like a king, and take lunch as a normal people, and
Hmm.
at the dinner as a
As
poor
a
people.
beggar. Hmm.
But nowadays, this all are gone totally
Hmm.
opposite. As we see, breakfast gets lighter and quick foods like oats, toast, breads, etc. And lunch gets some snacks or junk. And dinner totally heavy food, heavy meals. That's totally affecting the gut health. And most of the diseases are coming from digestive system, and it is totally connected also a brain health, because you have just not tell that neurological also connections with the brain and gut. And these habits, most of the system diseases are by digestive system only. More than 45 diseases caused by the problem in digestive system and the body, and it affects the body. So if we
Hmm.
have good nutrition, then we have good mood and good health.
Yeah, absolutely right. So
And
in Ayurveda also you must know Ritu, Sharia. You are doing Ayurveda, no?
no, sir,
Hello.
I am from electrohomeopathy.
Okay. So every culture, every society has the habits which they were very prevalent earlier, which included all the positive and beneficial aspects of the nutritional habit and nutritional quality. So that's what the sir was also telling. The more we should try to stick or try to follow those things rather than, but at the same time there are challenges, the environmental, the market forces, the kind of lifestyles and the availability of people and time to manage and to get access to that quality nutrition and appropriate nutritional habit. So we have to think about those challenges also and how those challenges can also be minimized. So that's important. So solution we are thinking about. Absolutely right. Gut is a very important gateway for all kinds of health issues, including brain health and mental health issues. Yeah.